It is fairer to tax people on what they extract from the economy, as roughly measured by their consumption, than to tax them on what they produce for the economy, as roughly measured by their income. True and false are attributes of speech, not of things. And where speech is not, there is neither truth nor falsehood. Error there may be, as when we expect that which shall not be, or suspect what has not been, but in neither case can a man be charged with untruth. In a democracy, look how many demagogues, that is how many powerful orators, there are with the people. Wisdom, properly so called, is nothing else but this, the perfect knowledge of the truth in all matters whatsoever. A man's conscience and his judgment is the same thing, and as the judgment, so also the conscience may be erroneous. If men are naturally in a state of war, why do they always carry arms, and why do they have keys to lock their doors? The object of man's desire is not to enjoy once only, and for one instant of time, but to assure forever the way of his future desires. The law is the public conscience. When the nature of the thing is incomprehensible, I can acquiesce in the scripture, but when the signification of words is incomprehensible, I cannot acquiesce in the authority of a schoolman. Force and fraud are in war the two cardinal virtues. There is no such thing as perpetual tranquility of mind while we live here, because life itself is but motion, and can never be without desire, nor without fear, no more than without sense. Concerning the first, there is a saying much usurped of late, that wisdom is acquired, not by reading of books, but of men. Covenants without swords are but words. The conscience is 1,000 witnesses. There are very few so foolish that they had not rather govern themselves than be governed by others. For it can never be that war shall preserve life, and peace destroy it. To speak to another with consideration, to appear before him with decency and humility, is to honor him, as scenes of fear to offend. To speak to him rashly, to do anything before him obscenely, slovenly, impudently, is to dishonor. There be as many persons of a king, as there be petty constables in his kingdom, and so there are, or else he cannot be obeyed. But I never said that a king, and every one of his persons, are the same substance. The obligation of subjects to the sovereign is understood to last as long, and no longer, than the power lasteth by which he is able to protect them. The first and fundamental law of nature, which is to seek peace and follow it. But yet they that have no science are in better and nobler condition with their natural prudence than men that by their misreasoning, or by trusting them that reason wrong, fall upon false and absurd general rules. That we have of geometry, which is the mother of all natural science, we are not indebted for it to the schools. If I had read as much as other men, I would have known no more than they. Every man may think his own cause just till it be heard and judged. From whence it follows, that where the public and private interest are most closely united, there is the public most advanced. The praise of ancient authors proceeds not from the reverence of the dead, but from the competition and mutual envy of the living. I shall be glad then to find a hole to creep out of the world. It is not wisdom but authority that makes a law. The best men are the least suspicious of fraudulent purposes. Passions unguided are for the most part mere madness. Thoughts are to the desires as scouts and spies to range abroad and find the way to the things desired. Do not that to another which thou wouldst not have done to thyself. Nor can a man any more live, whose desires are at an end, than he, whose senses and imaginations are at a stand. I often observe the absurdity of dreams, but never dream of the absurdity of my waking thoughts. Science is the knowledge of consequences, and dependence of one fact upon another, by which, out of that we can presently do, we know how to do something else when we will, or the like, another time. What reason is there that he which laboureth much, and, sparing the fruits of his labour, consumeth little, should be more charged than he that, living idly, getteth little and spendeth all he gets, seeing the one hath no more protection from the commonwealth than the other? If I read as many books as most men do, I would be as dull-witted as they are. Whatsoever is the object of any man's appetite or desire, that is it which he for his part calleth good, and the object of his hate and aversion, evil. To conclude, the light of humane minds is perspicuous words, but by exact definitions first snuffed and purged from ambiguity. Reason is the pace, increase of science, the way, and the benefit of mankind, the end. Curiosity draws a man from consideration of the effect to seek the cause. To speak impartially, both sayings are very true, that man to man is a kind of God, and that man to man is an errant wolf. The first is true if we compare citizens amongst themselves, and the second if we compare cities. The first cause of absurd conclusions I ascribe to the want of method. War consisteth not in battle only, or the act of fighting, but in a tract of time, wherein the will to contend by battle is sufficiently known. The original of all great and lasting societies consisted not in the mutual good will men had toward each other, but in the mutual fear they had of each other. And as in other things, so in men, not the seller, but the buyer determines the price. Corporations are made less a commonwealths in the bowels of a greater, like worms in the entrails of a natural man. Leisure is the mother of philosophy, and commonwealth the mother of peace and leisure. Humans are driven by a perpetual and restless desire of power. Men look not at the greatness of the evil past, but the greatness of the good to follow. Ignorance of the law is no good excuse, where every man is bound to take notice of the laws to which he is subject. A man cannot lay down the right of resisting them that assault him by force to take away his life. Such truth as opposeth no man's profit nor pleasure is to all men welcome. The oath adds nothing to the obligation, for a covenant, if lawful, binds in the sight of God without the oath, as much as with it, if unlawful, bindeth not at all, though it be confirmed with an oath. Setting themselves against reason, as often as reason is against them.